Garnet Sugar Hart was born February 22, 1936, and grew up in the Strawberry Mansion neighborhood of North Philadelphia. Learning to box at the Police Athletic League, he dropped out of high school in the 10th grade. Hart had become an amateur boxing star, winning 52 consecutive fights, including the National AAU lightweight title in April of 1954. The following month, he turned professional, and within 2 years, he was a ranked contender. Sports writers were calling him the next Sugar Ray Robinson because of the similarities in speed, power, and versatility. He's ready for any welterweight in the world, his promoter Teddy Brenner said, including the champion right now. In November of 1956, Hart stopped veteran Hector Constance, but 9 months later he was stopped in 8 rounds by Virgil Akins. By March of 1958, he regrouped and began a rapid climb up the rankings. Hart defeated Charlie Tombstone Smith in 8 rounds before facing off against former sparring partner Gil Turner in June of that year. Hart was installed as a 7-5 favorite. When the bell rings, it's going to be dog eat dog, Hart said. And I know I'm hungry. Turner started the fight quickly, but Hart gained momentum as the rounds progressed. The bout ended in a draw, a decision that was met with disapproval from the 8,700 fans in attendance, the majority of whom believed Hart had won. But during this time, his main weakness was publicly exposed. Hart was a womanizer. Hart was sued by 2 different women for child support before marrying a third. He had to explain to a judge why he had fathered so many children out of wedlock. "I can't help myself, Judge," Hart said. "I just have to fight them off." More trouble followed as Hart was confronted by a pair of private detectives outside of a nightclub. He was beaten with billy clubs and hospitalized. Hart sued the detective agency for over $100,000 for his medical bills and the injuries that caused him to cancel a fight. 6 months later, he returned to the ring, decisioning contenders Rolf Dupaz and Isaac Logert. Hart was particularly impressive against Logert, ripping open the Cuban's eyes and mouth in a bloodbath. Now the number 1 rated contender, Hart repeatedly called for a chance against champion Don Jordan. "He and I could have a real fine time in the ring," Hart said. "I can whip him." Forced to wait due to behind-the-scenes threats from mobster Blinky Palermo, Hart instead fought crosstown rival Charley Scott for the Pennsylvania State welterweight title. Reporter Stan Hochman described the fight as, quote, two men fighting for the life on the edge of a cliff. The defeat seemed to take the wind out of the sails of Hart's career. He began suffering from double vision and lost 3 of his last 4 fights. He was decisioned by Luis Rodriguez before facing the new welterweight champion Benny Paret in a non-title fight. Hart kept every round close until Paret caught him with an overhand right in the 6th round, knocking him out for the count. After Ted Wright stopped him in 9 one-sided rounds, Hart decided to call it quits. After retiring from boxing, he married and divorced several times. I loved my women, Hart said. That was my downfall. He worked as a laborer at the Sterling Paper Company and later at Northwood Rubber, but was on disability by his early 50s. He spent his final years living with his mother in the house that he bought for her 40 years earlier. Hart died from complications of diabetes on October 15, 2003, at the age of 67. His mother passed away 3 weeks later, at the age of 84.